There's a lot to be said for smaller, smarter cars in the 21st century context, which is why vehicles like the Volkswagen Polo, the Ford Fiesta, the Kia Rio, the Renault Clio and of course the Peugeot 208 are selling in increasing numbers. Enter the Peugeot 2008, a car that uses the 208 hatchback's underpinnings but combines them with a slightly larger and more versatile form factor. It also has a completely different personality. The 2008's character is less urban runabout and more weekend warrior, a car more likely to fulfill the role of family commuter than all-terrain pioneer, but that can cope with slightly more challenging terrain if occasionally required. Most crossover vehicles end up being slightly embellished boxes on wheels or station wagons with attitude. In the case of the 2008, however, it retains the keen front-end look of the 208 hatchback, but adds a stepped and profiled roofline, a raised stance and a slightly more robust personality. As much as design appraisals are subjective by definition, most would agree that the 2008 is a handsome car and that it manages to express its practical intentions with a panache rarely achieved in a segment dominated by pragmatic considerations. There's even a customization option. For those people used to Peugeot's sophisticated, almost understated design approach, the presence of these rather garish colours on our test car might come as something of a surprise. But others might think that those colours actually introduce a bit of young, fresher appeal to what some people might consider a slightly conservative brand. Either way, this colour pack is an optional extra on the 2008. It comes in orange, green or a very, very bright pink and really consists just of decals inside and outside that you can order on demand and the dealer will actually fit them. Cost-wise, 9,000 Rand, which I think is a little bit on the steep side, and in fact, I'd prefer my 2008 plain. Whether you opt for the colour pack or not, the cabin's execution is strong on feel-good factor with a particular emphasis on comfort and design appeal without losing sight of practicality. Like the 208 hatchback, the 2008 has a very nicely executed and very comprehensive interior, but it also has its idiosyncrasies, in this instance the ergonomics, which make provision for a rather small, unusually small in fact, steering wheel and the need to adjust it in such a way that you can look at the instrument over the steering wheel rim. It's something that works quite well, initially feels a bit strange, but if you're tall then you do have a problem because it's very difficult to achieve that driving position. An unusual standard feature of the 2008 is grip control, a system that adapts steering, throttle response and traction control to suit specific roads and driving conditions. Versatility is at the core of any crossover vehicle, and that's also true of the 2008. But because it is quite a compact crossover, you'd think that the interior would not be as spacious as some of the larger models. So it comes as something of a surprise that there are a lot of loading and seating options here, starting off, of course, with a very comfortable and heavily bolstered front seats, a rear bench seat which offers a lot of space for 2, maybe even 3 adults, which can be folded in a 60-40 situation so that you have a nice, versatile variety of load versus seating options. If you fold the rear seat down, you create a very large and flat-floored cargo area, which is a lot bigger than the standard 350 litres of cargo space. A 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating reiterates the 2008's exceptional active and passive safety standards. For now, there's only one version of the 2008 offered in the top-end Allure specification level and powered by this engine, a 1.6-litre 4-cylinder unit rated at 88 kilowatts of maximum power together with 160 newton-meters of torque. It provides the kind of performance that's willing and brisk enough, although it's not going to rip up any tire. That said, the 2008 is fun to drive with enthusiasm, offering high reserves of traction and a mostly benign attitude. With a curb mass of only 1,080 kilograms, the performance of the 2008 is livelier than expected. 0 to 100 time 9.5 seconds, top speed 196 kilometers an hour. But we have to remember that we're driving the car at sea level. By the time we've moved to altitude with some passengers and also luggage on board, it might not be quite as brisk as we're experiencing here. But for me, one of the 2008's highlights is the chassis, which combines comfort with real handling talent. Despite its elevated centre of gravity, the 2008 feels more hatch than crossover on the move, with tidy road manners and a neutral cornering attitude also on its list of attributes. Only the steering, which is over-assisted, blots the Peugeot's copybook. I must say that the Peugeot 2008 has surprised me. Crossover vehicles very often lose focus in their quest for do-it-all versatility, and because the 208 hatchback is such a good car, I was concerned that the 2008 would lose some of that sparkle. But in fact, the 2008 retains everything that's good about the 208, but adds the extra space and the extra utility you'd expect of a crossover. It certainly makes for a very compelling argument, and you might even find that some people looking for a larger C-segment car might look at this vehicle as a very viable alternative. A willing drivetrain provides ample pep, but the 2008's real attraction is its composed and responsive chassis, which makes for great driving. Add the generous, well-equipped interior, and the 2008 makes a strong purchasing case. But the small steering wheel won't please everybody.